Xiao Li was an ordinary city office worker, living alone and struggling to make it in the city. Overtime had become a normal part of her life. Every night she took the same final bus home, a long route that headed out to the forested suburbs. Although the trip was lengthy, her apartment was only a 5-minute walk from the last stop. It was cheap and convenient. One night she worked later than usual. By the time she reached the bus stop, it was nearly 11 p.m. Thankfully, the last bus hadn't left yet. She boarded quickly, out of breath. But this time, something felt different. Only 2 or 3 other people were on the bus. The atmosphere was far quieter than usual. She chose a seat by the window and casually pulled out her phone to scroll through social media. Not long after the bus started moving, she had the eerie feeling that someone was watching her. She glanced at the rearview mirror and noticed something odd. The driver's figure was blurred, as though veiled by fog. Then, something even stranger caught her eye. On one of the back seats, a yellowed paper note was taped up. It had 3 roughly written rules. 1. If you board the bus and find you're the only one there, sit in the middle, never in the last row. 2. When the bus enters a completely dark tunnel, close your eyes and count to 20. Do not open them. 3. If the driver speaks to you, no matter what he says, do not respond. When the bus stops, get off immediately. Xiao Li frowned. It must be some kind of sick prank, she thought. She looked around. A man in a hat sat in the front row, and a schoolgirl in uniform was on the opposite side. Both were quiet, heads down, not moving. The bus sped through the city under the dull orange glow of streetlights. The only sound was the hum of the tires on the road. When the bus left the city and followed a long straight highway, the air began to feel heavy and cold. Xiao Li felt a chill on her back. She looked out the window. Everything outside was pitch black. Even the streetlights had disappeared. She turned to look behind her. The man and the girl were gone. Her heartbeat spiked. She stared at the now empty rear seats, unsure if her eyes were playing tricks. She turned her attention to the driver, trying to see his face in the mirror, but he hadn't moved at all, as if nothing had changed. Then she remembered the first rule on the note. Sit in the middle. Don't sit in the back if you're alone. She murmured, could this be real? The lights on the bus stayed on, but the air felt icy. She tried to distract herself by opening a video on her phone, only to find that there was no signal. At that exact moment, the bus turned sharply into a tunnel, completely dark. The headlights flickered, and even the sound of the engine grew distorted. The second rule: close your eyes in a dark tunnel, count to 20. Don't open them. Xiao Li clutched her phone tightly. Her heart pounded like a drum. The world outside was silent. The flickering interior lights painted her face ghostly white. She hesitated, then shut her eyes and began counting in her mind. 1, 2, 3. But by the 4th count, she heard it. A knocking sound. Tap, tap, tap. It was like someone was tapping on the bus window. She bit her lips and forced herself not to open her eyes. She kept counting. 11, 12, 13. The knocking softened, but then came a laugh, a low, chilling chuckle. It sounded like something was moving around her seat. 19, 20. She opened her eyes. The tunnel was behind them. The lights were normal again, but her back felt cold, as if something was breathing behind her. She dared not turn around. She stared straight ahead, frozen in fear. Then, the driver spoke. His voice was low and gravelly, but strangely polite. The person behind you, could you move? He wants to get off. Xiao Li froze. She slowly turned her head. No one was there. The third rule: if the driver talks to you, don't answer. Cold sweat ran down her spine. She clenched her jaw, stared out the window, and said nothing. The driver spoke again. You're blocking him. He needs to get off. She bit her lip so hard it nearly bled. her hands dug into her palms, refusing to respond. After a long silence, the bus finally slowed down and stopped at an old, crumbling bus station. Without looking back, Xiaoli grabbed her bag and ran off the bus. Even as she stood at the stop, her body trembling, she stared at the departing vehicle until its taillights vanished into the night. Only then did she realize her back was soaked with cold sweat. The next day, she called in sick and stayed at home, too terrified to leave. When a friend called and asked why she wasn't at work, she only replied calmly, "Last night's bus was too strange." Since that night, Xiaoli never took the 302 night bus again.